Welcome, everybody. So I am here with Hailey Rowe to talk about how to get more clients on LinkedIn. Now, I have made LinkedIn my main platform over the past couple of years. Went from, oh, I maybe have some connections on LinkedIn. I don't know how to log into my account, to the place where I spend the most time in terms of social and posting, and for a good reason, because it is one of the best platforms these days to get results on. And so Hailey is a marketing and sales coach and strategist who helps health, life, and mindset coaches build businesses on social media. And she is the host of the Health Coach Nation podcast. And she is here to talk to us about the 4 steps to attract paying clients on LinkedIn. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So when it comes to getting clients on LinkedIn, I think a lot of us have the experience of, okay, we're here, we're posting content, we're waiting for engagement, we're making connections with people, and then nothing happens. So
Yeah.
tell me about that and how to fix it.
Yeah. First, it's important to realize that LinkedIn is a networking platform. So people do expect connecting, having messages where someone says it's great to connect and asks them a question of some kind and engages in a conversation. So the good news is you're in the right place if you want to be reaching out to potential partners for collaborations or potential clients. But what typically happens, or what you're saying, is people don't know, how do I have a conversation? Like, they think it's black or white. I either have to send long sales pitches to people that are really corny, or I can't message people at all and they just have to see my posts and they have to comment on them. And I think that there's actually a middle ground where there's a couple different ways you can use LinkedIn. And the first step, if you want to start these conversations and actually be intentional with them, is to decide, how are you going to use LinkedIn for your business? Because you can be using it to either connect with potential partners and collab partners like you and I. We connected because we complement what each other do. And we're doing these live interviews together. You can reach out to podcast hosts if you want to be on more podcasts within your niche. You can reach out to corporate wellness opportunities, for example. If you're like a wellness professional, you can reach out to HR people who decide that. Or you can reach out to your niche, your potential clients, if they're a certain type of professional. Like if you work with, for example, I work with coaches, so that is a searchable job title on LinkedIn. So the first step before you even start any of this, so that you can have a clear direction and know what to say, is, how do you want to even use LinkedIn? What's your goals with LinkedIn? Is it to get more people looking at your content and on your email list and booking calls with you as a client? Or is it to get in front of more of your audience through collaborations and then promote your email list or whatever it is when you're doing those things? Or is it to locally speak and do lunch and learns and things like that? Once you've decided, then you got to think about, okay, what am I going to say to start the conversation with these people? What you're going to search in the search title, job titles in the search bar, or maybe you're going to find people through company pages on their employees list, or maybe you're going to find people through LinkedIn groups because you all have a common interest of some kind. But once you find them, there's kind of 2 steps. There's the connecting phase, which is, I need to send a connection request, which is the equivalent of a Facebook friend request, but on LinkedIn. And it's a little more expected to send a connection request to someone on LinkedIn who maybe either you live in the same town, or you complement what each other does, or they're your target audience, or you went to the same college, or you have mutual connections, or whatever it is. You want to send a connection request. And if you have a free LinkedIn account, you can only customize 5 connection request messages per week, which is not a lot, which is why I use Sales Navigator. But you don't have to customize it. You could just send the connection request and that's it, and start getting more people in your world. Or you could say, hey, it would be great to connect. Looks like we both serve the same niche. I'd love to connect, if you're connecting with a collab partner. Or if it's your potential client, you might say, I work with many in this field, in the wellness field or whatever. It'd be great to connect. And then when they accept your connection request, you can then send the second question, which this is where I think we're coming up on what you said, which is, most people just say, great to connect, cool, bye.
Then what?
Yeah, then what? So what we want to do is, we want to come up with an intentional question. And an intentional question is something that allows you to get insight on what the person you're talking with finds valuable, useful, what they want to see from you in your content now that you guys are connected, or would allow you to offer one of your freebies or a free training you have, or a connection you can offer to someone who's a collab, maybe a potential collab partner or something like that. So with the collab approach, it's going to be a different question depending on your angle you're trying to take or your strategy. But if you're trying to collaborate with people, you just might say, hey, I noticed we're both in the blah, blah, blah field in a way that might be synergistic. Would you be open to exploring collaboration? Some ideas I have is I see we both have podcasts. Maybe we could do a podcast swap or something like that. So it can be very short and it can be, would you be open to? It doesn't have to be a forced thing. And then with potential clients, you want to think about where someone would be. Let's say you're a weight loss coach and you work with professional women. Okay, so you send some connection requests to a woman accountant or something like that. And we don't know off the bat if she wants to lose weight. And we don't want to assume that she wants to lose weight because that would be pretty weird. So, what you can do is say, hey, it's great to be connected. I work with a lot of professional women when it comes to health and wellness. I'd love to know now that we're connected here, what kind of content would be useful for you when it comes to, and then put your topics you talk about. Would love any feedback. Would love to make my content useful on LinkedIn. That's a way to directly start a conversation and hear what they want to see so that you can then improve what you're providing on LinkedIn or whatever freebie or lead magnet you could share. And then you can bring that up if they have an interest. So that's an example, but there are a million different ways you can have conversations. But what I don't want you to do is to just say statements, because that doesn't create a response or a conversation or anything organic.
I really like the idea of asking because my background in marketing is always ask first, ask what the challenges are, ask what we want to see. Our market, our audience has the answers, and it's the best way to engage in conversation, get curious. And so asking, how can I serve you? And starting from that place of service, I think is a great way to have that initial contact. Okay, and now we're playing this out. Let's say someone answers you and they say, yeah, sure, I'd really love to see more on this. I think it's really cool what you're doing. Where do we go from there?
Yeah. So we want to be a normal human. We want to acknowledge what they said. We want to maybe add some value if we can. So if they said, oh, I really do want to learn more about the gut microbiome, I don't know, I just made that up. But okay, like I would love to hear more about that. Do you have any like gut related symptoms? Are you experiencing bloat? Are you experiencing indigestion or anything like that you know of? And then what you might say is, this is what I would do. I might have some personalized resources I could share with you if I know a bit more about exact, like what kind of things you're struggling with versus just me saying, oh, I have a gut microbiome guide for everyone about every gut problem. Here it is. So I might ask a little question to get more specific and then tailor what resource or post that I share with them to nurture or what next step I recommend to nurture them. Or you could just say, let's say you did have a gut microbiome guide and they did share, they want to learn more about it. For starters, I have a free gut microbiome guide that helps with XYZ. And you can either say, here it is if you want to check it out, or would you like me to share it with you and send the link over? Thing. Because the whole goal is we want to find out what do they find useful and what do they want. And then we want to give them a quick win or a quick freebie or something that allows them to make some progress with you up front to then say, do they want more? And they're in your email funnel or they attended your event or they checked out a couple of your posts and podcasts. And now, do they want to explore a customized path or whatever your offer is or coming to your next webinar? So that is a process we want to move through.
Awesome. Okay, so they say, yeah, I love, and then you say, hey, I have this custom resource. I created this thing specifically for you. And again, we're being real human in this conversation, which I love, but I think a lot of people, myself included, feel, okay, not sure where to take the conversation from there.
Yeah.
And then how do we keep people in conversation in a way that actually builds relationships and is not just, okay, I connected with you, I sent you a thing, right? Like, how do you actually build the relationship?
Two things. One will be checking in. How did it go for you? Where are you still stuck? Any other future things I can help with, things like that. But in addition, if they opted into your freebie, they're going to get your newsletters now. They're going to get your email funnel now. So they're going to get continuous nurturing in that sense. LinkedIn is that starter point. Let's get them into your world. And then they can have those newsletters or whatever for you. And you can still periodically check in. You can engage on their posts if they have something cool going on, or see how you can be a helper. I like to be a connector for people a lot of the time. If I connect with a collab partner, we do something fun, but then there's a summit I'm in, and I think they'd be a great guest for that summit. I like to make some intros for them or things like that. It's really about always being curious. I think a lot of people think, oh my gosh, no one wants to hear from me. I have to be like pushy and weird. And I just see it as go in with curiosity, go in with how can I be useful to this person? And naturally, it'll start to make more sense what to say next when you're coming from that energy. But the other thing to remember is it's okay if the conversation has an endpoint. Like it's okay
Yep.
if it's like they opt into your freebie and now they're on your list and now you want to check in 2 months later and see how they're doing. That's fine. But here's the last thing I would say is when you don't know what to say, I would just come up with an honest response. Not sure if this even makes sense or resonates with you, but one thing I was thinking of is blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
Like normal human
I
inter
like that. Yeah. And that's something that I talk about a lot, which is leaving an escape hatch for people, which is when we make assumptions, especially in copy, like you are feeling like this or you're feeling like that, and we make assumptions, we lock off, we immediately lose people. So being curious, asking the right questions, and then following up, I love that. I love that. Okay. So what would you say is for someone who is posting on LinkedIn, but maybe not necessarily getting the most benefit from the way that you're teaching in terms of interacting and making connections? How do those things talk to each other? Right? Because I
Yeah.
know you mentioned you have a conversation, connect with someone, and then you go add value and comment on their posts, which I think is a great idea. How does it all work together?
It's 4 steps to booking clients on LinkedIn. You have to connect with them. So you have to find them and be visible. So that can be through your posts or it can be through sending connection requests. You have to engage with them with a question of some kind or a call to action in your post that actually makes them comment on the post and makes them want to share with you what's going on. Then we have to make a pre-offer of some kind, which is your freebie or quick win up front. And then there's the sales phase where do they want to dive deeper? Do they want to attend your webinar? Do they want to have a call to go deeper and see if XYZ might help solve their problems? So with your posts, you're taking the same approach in that you're wanting at the bottom of your post to have a call to engagement. So it's maybe you did a post about a book you loved, and then at the bottom you say, what's a summer personal development book you can't put down or that I'm missing here on my favorite books list or something like that? Because that allows someone to say, oh, I really liked this book. And you get a feel for what they're into and you can build a touch point with them, which we know in marketing, touch points are important, meaning sometimes people have to interact with you or see you or know about you, like anywhere from 7 to 77 times before they're like, oh, that I need this person. I'm going to reach out to this person. So that's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it with your posts is if you do have a freebie of some kind, you can make posts that speak to the benefits of it and say, message me the word whatever if you want the link to check out the post. However, what you can do on LinkedIn is you can just say link in the comments if you want,
Hmm.
and that is easy too. But LinkedIn rewards posts that are 8 or more lines long where people click the see more button and they want to stay on your post and read the whole thing. And they reward posts that people engage on or say in the comments something. And the last thing I would say to get people engaged is you could do the LinkedIn newsletter or the LinkedIn articles, or something that's fun is to do those little audio rooms on LinkedIn where it's not a live like this. You could do LinkedIn lives too. That's another option. I've done it a couple times with collab partners where we'll host like a little talk and both of us will be panelists on this talk. And you don't see people's video, but they can come in and listen. It's like Clubhouse. Remember Clubhouse?
Oh,
They
yeah.
had like audio
Okay.
only. And they can come off mute and they can ask a question. And it's a really fun way to engage with your audience live.
I did not know that LinkedIn has those. That's actually very cool. So we learned something new today. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. We might be doing one of those pretty soon because I love video, but there's something about audio, especially podcast format. And I think people feel a bit more comfortable and have that live interaction as opposed to doing a live stream video where people are typing in the chat and you're like,
Mhm.
takes you a minute to see what's happening. Very cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
And okay, so this is really helpful. Just to recap the 4 steps for us, and then I want to know where people can learn more about what you do.
for sure. So the 4 steps are connect, engage, pre-offer, and sell. And with those, just remember that we connect first by being visible and finding our people either through sending connection requests or maybe doing a collab with someone on LinkedIn where it was shared to a new audience, or we have content that people see. The engage piece is where you ask that intentional question, see what people find useful, what they want from you, and be able to give you leverage for how do you provide that, or is there something you could do to add value. Step 3 is where you add the value. You give the pre-offer or the freebie or the free event that you're hosting or whatever, if it makes sense based on what they shared with you. And then the sales piece is you see if they do want to dive deeper and if they have a problem that's big enough that would make sense to have a call with you or whatever. And those would be the 4 steps.
I love that. Thank you. And I think you have a free gift for the people. Is that right?
I do, yeah. So if you go to haileyrowe.com/LinkedIn, you'll be able to get 2 examples of how to connect with people, one for collabs, one for your potential clients. And you'll also get a full training on LinkedIn lead gen, which is something that I do as a service, or I also coach my clients on how to do it themselves. And it's going to take you through why LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn, how to save time on LinkedIn, things like that. And I really do call it the low maintenance platform because it does not require you to post all the time or do, trending audios like on Instagram and reels and dancing in reels and all the things. This is the platform for you if you really just want to connect with your audience and you're a straightforward person and you're not super tech savvy. Like I love LinkedIn for that. So you can check it out at haileyrowe.com/LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom with us. I definitely learned a couple things. Let us know in the comments if what your biggest takeaway was. And again, thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure.